So I have whatever this is on mouse out, whatever this is on mouse out, whatever this is on mouse out. That's slightly confusing. Let's see if we can do it again, maybe make it a little bit less confusing. So on mouse over, we're going to put a color picture. We'll be able to see this one. On mouse over, we're going to take my image dot over image equals new image. In other words, we're going to assign a new image as a property to my image, and in this case, it's going to be over image is the name of it, the property, versus out image is the name of it up there. We're putting a new image as a property for my image. Oh, makes your head hurt, doesn't it? So we'll take my image dot over image dot source and assign it a value, and we're going to have to build this. Luckily, we've named our files pretty smart, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into the images folder. So I'm putting this in quotes. We're going to go in the images folder, and we're going to concatenate the ID of this image, which is just the plain name. It's either the name of the dog Hash or the name of the dog Lucky, and we're going to concatenate this address together. As soon as I finish typing it, I'll try and go over it once more. So here on line 22, we have my image, an object. We have over image, which is a property that we just created the line before. It happens to be an image as well. We're going to say that source. So we're going to take our over image source, and we're going to construct it out of some words, images, and the ID of the image we're working with, myimage.id. Okay? And we're going to add the underscore over.jpg. It's my naming convention. All my over images have, say, lucky underscore over or hash underscore over. They're all very, very consistent. I was very purposeful in naming them. So let's do my image on mouse over equals that crazy anonymous function. All an anonymous function is a function with no name. And it lets us put in short series of statements and assign it to an event without all the typing and overhead of creating a separate function. It's really pretty cool. And all we're going to do is say this.source equals this dot over image dot source. That's all we need. This, whatever this image is, its source, we're going to change it to the source of the over image. Quite frankly, this is confusing, so I'm going to put in a console.log. These are going to get real long, so I may have to disable the first one. We'll say mouse over, and we will put in this. I'm going to go up to line 17 and comment out that one because these are all very, very long. I want to see the mouse over one and see if it's going to work. So let's go up and preview it in Firefox. We've got our 3 images, Awesome, Lucky, Hash, and Riley. And if I scroll over Lucky, that works, and Hash works, and Riley works. And we're just getting all sorts of console.log statements. But you can see it's working. I'm going to hit clear and try this one more time. Wow. Now what's interesting is mouse over is something that keeps happening. I'm going to just hover over out and in fastening. So that's working. It seems a little bit strange because there's two kind of just logical issues here. We're using an anonymous function and we're using the keyword this. So let's try it with the onClick. And for onClick, we're not going to need a new image. We're just going to add a property to my image. We're just going to make it up. We need, however, to create an href, so we might as well just call it href. There's no href property for images normally, but we can add it because JavaScript lets us to add any property we want to an object. So we'll say this href is going to be myimage.id, and the address is just going to concatenate plus.html because I've named all my files the same as the ID plus HTML. So just through my naming convention, helped myself out, made life easier. So if you look at this, and if you can see my files over here, I have on the right hand side of the screen, I have a lucky.html, riley.html, I have a hash.html, and by naming them beforehand with a scheme in mind, made life very, very easy. And again, this could be for 2 images or 200 images. Doesn't really matter. So now we've got our last bit of making our brain hurt. We're going to put an onClick event. We're going to assign it to an anonymous function. And this anonymous function is going to have our last little new thing. It's right inside the first pages of Chapter 4 in the book. They don't explain it exceptionally well, but there's an object called window on every document, and actually it has a property called location. The location is just a URL. So we're going to set the URL to be this.href. So if you look at this, I'm going to set the location or the address of this window to be the href of this image that we're clicking on. We've assigned an href to the image. We've said onClick, we're going to do this function, and now we're setting the location to its href property that we just made up. Again, we want to return false to override any HTML commands. And honestly, at this point, we're done. This whole idea of an anonymous function is going to seem a little strange the first time. The idea of the keyword this, because the book has mentioned it, but we haven't used it. And the idea of adding any property you want to, just making one up to store at your convenience properties and methods that are handy. So let's run this. Let's see what happens. Hopefully I typed in everything in correctly. So I've got my 3 images. So that's working. So roll in, it changes from black and white to color. As I roll out, it changes from color to black and white. Looks like they're all running. If I click on one, it goes to the detail page. Awesome. Hit my back button because I haven't got any logic programmed in. And try them all. And it has automatically done this. I haven't had to go through and do every single one individually, manually. The program has done a lot of the work for me because I set up my files with naming conventions, and I used a loop to set up all my events. Now, if this is a little bit weird as far as concepts go, we're going to practice a bit more next week as we dive into it. It's a deep subject, and it's one of the things you have to think about. So we'll practice a lot next week. Now to introduce a lot new. We'll just go a little bit deeper into the DOM and get a handle on all these things. So have a good week and take care.